Wow.
Got it.
All righty. I am here with my friend, Susie Thomsen from Unchained Wellness. And we are just going to, I guess, chit chat for a little bit. It should be entertaining at the very least, right? Hopefully informative, but also at least entertaining, right?
Oh yeah. In the very least, we're gonna have a fun time, and hopefully somebody else will too.
Exactly. Alrighty, my friend. So why don't you tell me a little bit about kind of like how you got into like your wellness journey and starting Unchained Wellness and all that? Because I think we're kind of similar in that respect.
Okay, wonderful. So, man, you think like, when did this start? So probably about 10 years ago. I was a teenager-ish and was trying to figure out how to not gain the freshman whatever, right? Trying to figure out how to eat like a normal person, while also struggling really hard with an eating disorder. So I was not really doing very well with all of that. And I was in college, and my oldest sister, I'm one of seven, she actually was also struggling with an eating disorder at the same time. And in 2011, she ended up losing her battle, I would say, to it, and then committed suicide. So at that point, I was like, uh-oh. Like it kind of, stakes got really high. And I realized, wow, I either am going to go down the same path as her, because we have a lot of similarities in our personalities and our sensitivities and our temperaments, or I really need to take mental health, physical health, spiritual wellness seriously. And so I would say that's where it began, when I saw that the alternate option was not life, or at least an enjoyable, abundant life.
Yeah. Because you are tethered by chains, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes. So, over the last 10 years, it's been such a long journey. I basically decided I need to focus on wellness and feeling good and having energy, instead of trying to control every single little thing and manipulate everything to make my life as easy as possible. And so as I kind of got closer and closer to it, I realized that I was missing a lot of knowledge, and really that I was addicted to the comfort that food provided me. I had a food addiction. It provided me with comfort. It was the only thing in my life I felt I can control. And so a couple of years ago, as I began to just learn about all of this, I realized, wow, there are some missing pieces to knowing how to eat like a normal person. So I started to learn those things, and God brought really beautiful people into my life to be like, oh, this is how, you didn't know that. And I'm like, no, nobody ever taught me that.
It really does take a community, even as you're like going through your journey, right? Like connecting with other people who are stronger in other places.
Yes. And for some people, they were brought up in a home where they were given like nice round meals, and their parents, just knew how to eat like a normal person, with proteins and fats and carbs and for satiety and, proportions that made sense. And I'm one of seven. We pretty much were jacked if we all got like food, you know what? And so now as an adult, having to learn that, I started Unchained because I realized that I, in all my roles, as a mom, as a worker, as a friend, as a wife, I'm not going to be able to step into those roles well if I am not feeling good, nourishing my body, nourishing my soul, connected with the Lord, and really getting rid of those chains that have just tied me down. So that's what I really started Unchained, is because I'm really passionate that I look around me and I see friends and moms, mostly moms, that are just trying their darndest to get from day to day. And I think if every mama could just really nail down some basics, they'd be able to enjoy the rest of their time with their kids and with their husbands and with their friends a lot more, and have a really full life. So that's why I do what I do. I coach women. I joke that I teach them to learn how to eat like normal people, but
but really, what is normal, right? Like, it's so hard because there's so much misinformation there, right? But it's like when you're flying, you got to put the mask on yourself first in order to be able to help others, right? Especially as women, like we just have so much on our plates whether we're stay-at-home moms or we're working outside the home or we're working at home, and just juggling everything. It becomes really overwhelming really quickly, right?
Oh my goodness.
So how old are your kids? Remind me.
Yeah, so I have 3 boys. They are 5 years old, 2 years old, and 6 months old. So they are little, and they are amazing. I love them.
Yes. So how do you feed your family then? Like what, I assume that you are instilling these like normal behaviors into your children, which works really well at that age.
Oh my gosh, I'm trying so hard, and I feel like the worst nutritionist mom. I'm not nutritionist, nutrition coach mom in the world. So this is what our day looks like, right? So we start out and I make Kodiak cake waffles, and I add in some banana and some vanilla and cinnamon to the mix and an egg. Sometimes I sneak a zucchini, blend it up. Waffles for everybody. If we're feeling extra, we'll have some eggs with it, peanut butter, and my children just go to town. Like, love it. We get so excited for that. So that's a nice big hearty breakfast. They look forward to it at night. Wake up, big breakfast. Sometimes that takes them forever. Like that energy consumed lasts them a long time. And I love that because then we get to check in and it's like, here, are you hungry? And they're like, no. And I'm like, cool, let's not eat then until you're hungry.
Yeah.
So then it comes to lunch and I say, right, chicken nuggets, quesadillas, or sandwiches. That's what we've got. Protein, fat, carb in a couple of different formats. If I can get a carrot in them or something green, I like heavily cheer.
It's like
and
then
then
star.
Right. And I mean, it's just real life. And if I find like, hey, I haven't been able to get a carrot or something green in them for a couple lunches, I'll like make smoothies and be like, it's a Grinch smoothie and a bunch of greens. And they're like, Grinch, So we sneak it in there. And then dinner wise, we just go with the protein, fat, carb blueprint. A lot of what I end up repeat making is what one of my best friends, she introduced it to me. It's called Buddha Bowl. And basically you throw meat in a pan while you're cooking said meat. You are roasting potatoes and vegetables and making rice on the side. We put it all on the table. We shove it in bowls. We top it with salsa and we see how much gets eaten and how much ends up on the floor.
Right. Yes. Do you have a dog?
No, I'm the dog. I clean up at night.
Yes, you need a dog, and they will come run cleanup duty, and then they have to. You don't have to feed them either, right?
I want that. I want a dog for that reason and that reason only. Like our floors are disgusting at the end of every day. I'm just like, ew, how did this happen?
So things like Buddha bowls are like fantastic for customizing too, like, right? Like if it's a basic recipe that you could change the spices with or whatever to give it kind of your own flair, or using whatever's left over in the pantry, or in the fridge, or whatever, just cutting it up and going to town on that. Those are great ways, especially like they make it more cost effective, or you're like, oh my gosh, I haven't gone to the store yet, right? Those are perfect. And I love roasted veggies. Roasted are my favorite. My favorite.
Roasted. I also love to do like what I jokingly call like charcuterie board, and really we just pull out crackers, cut up some meats and cheese, and add some veggies, and I'm like, happy fancy charcuterie board night.
Yes. Yeah, that is the best. And really that's like leftovers, right? And leftovers are just meal prep. And our kids at our house, we call it feast night. That was created by my youngest when she was like 3. So we have feast night.
I love that. Is that just leftover bizarre?
Just, whatever's in the fridge. Because there's always just enough. And everyone fights over like the one thing.
Yeah,
right?
It's so true. Yesterday was mac and cheese. It was like, who's going to get the mac and cheese with the pulled pork? And the answer was not me. I didn't even get any.
Yeah. Well, our house, it is, if we have steak at night, it's first one up in the morning, it's stuffed steak and eggs for breakfast. So that is a good motivator sometimes for teenagers.
Ooh, I love that. Taking notes.
I know. For real. That's what I said. You're still able to get the veggies into your kids, and that's awesome. I have mixed success with mine because I have teenagers. All right. So for our mamas trying to adjust to like new edition, right? So go back like 6 months ago, or whatever. Like, how do you still practice that self-care and, getting in, even now, he's 6 months old, getting in your workouts and being able to get that time kind of to yourself?
Such a good question. I would start with why would anyone, decide to pursue a healthy lifestyle, really? And for that mama, I would say, Mama, how are you doing, right? Are you doing well? Do you have energy? Are you doing okay? Chances are you're tired. You probably underslept. And you may not, especially new moms, may not really feel like just like yourself a lot. And so from that point, it's like, okay, so what can you do? What are some things that you can actually do to focus on you, to starting to feel more like yourself? A lot of women feel really good when they start moving. It doesn't have to be structured exercises. So building in small habits, like, Mom, do you have any friends? Well, yes, I do have a friend. Ask one of them to go for a walk with you. You're going to go for a walk and you're going to feel so good. And you're going to go, maybe I should do that more. You're going to have that feedback loop. I did it. I feel good. Cool. That's one aspect of it. Are you getting enough sleep? The answer is probably no. And understand that without a lot of sleep, your energy is going to be lacking and your nutrition selections are going to be like, hey, give me energy, help, give me energy. So as much as possible, and I understand it, man, I've been there, get some rest. The foundation, rest is the foundation to be able to build on. So I would start with the why, find a movement that feels good, and then try and prioritize rest and watch the other things get a little bit easier.
Yeah. And that's kind of like everybody at all stages, right? I mean, not just moms, but moms at all stages. Like, I don't think I've slept well in like 20 years. Right?
Oh my
because
God.
you never sleep the same ever, right? And so we hear a lot of, the sleep matters. We need to take time to rest. But I think it's really prioritizing it and just saying, like, this is my me time. And even if it's just to just sit and just be. And if you happen to fall asleep, that's great.
Beautiful.
Right? But absolutely.
I love that. And of course, there's things that you could do as mamas to make the nutrition part easier, like meal prep and, grocery shop and find foods that you love that excite you. But I will just be honest, without some of the other things, it's like, tackle food once you started to feel more like yourself and recognize that there's like these feedback loops that are taking place that are going to make you think, I feel better.
Yeah, and everything kind of like and flows in that respect all throughout life, right? There's times where we're a little bit more ready and on target to take care of ourselves in that way. And then there's times where we have a lot going on and it's just not going to happen. And you have to struggle just to get a 20-minute walk in, or something. And that you need your friends then too, right? So reaching out and just saying, hey, can you take a walk with me? And if your friend reaches out saying, hey, can you take a walk with me? Go with them.
Go it. Yeah. Do the thing. Make the time.
They probably need it.
I was just trying to schedule with a friend and I sent her the meme that was like, as an adult, you share schedules and it's the exact opposite. And then you're like, see you never.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Trying to nail down that time is just like bananas. But
there is one piece of advice, and I recently gave it to somebody and they were like, wow, I never would have thought of that. For those people that know, like, I need to work out to feel like myself, especially mamas. So I have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C on my days where I know I want to move. And it's like, okay, my plan A is always going to be waking up early and getting my workout. But if that doesn't happen, which it sometimes doesn't, right? You can't predict what the night's going to look like with your kiddos. Have your plan B, right? At their lunchtime hour or whatever it may be, I'm going to move. You know what? Plan B did not work out today, but good thing I've built in a plan C. And that is after my kids go to bed, right? I have my husband hang and I walk around the block 5 times, just being able to build that in. So you never feel like well, hey, I missed my block. It's over. I failed. It's like,
Right,
no,
right.
you've literally built in an A, B, and a C plan. So you can
Yes.
always do it if you really
And
want to.
for me at least, like when I do a ABC, maybe DEF, like it depends on the day. But my
G-H-I.
workout gets significantly shorter and more doable, honestly. Like nighttime me
Yeah.
thinks like, hey, tomorrow morning I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna do this like 2 hour workout, it's gonna be great. And then like morning me is like, that's not gonna happen, right? Because I'm tired. I spent all night
Yeah.
planning my great workout.
Yep.
And so then as it goes on, usually by the evening, I'm like, all right, I just need to get like 10 minutes of a core exercise in or
Yes.
something. And all of a sudden it
Mhm.
becomes more doable. So I think that we tend to overestimate um, what we can do in our time frame or what we
Yeah.
want to achieve in that time frame when we just need to just move and check the box.
Something.
Yeah, because that's better than nothing, right? The alternative is I
Yeah.
didn't work out for an hour and a half, so I'm not going to do anything. Well, at least I got the 10 minutes walk in or like whatever. At
Yeah.
least you're still doing something, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Do you use fitness tech at all, like Apple Watch or anything?
Yeah, I do. So, I do. I have an Apple Watch that I use, and I basically I have to easy button everything. I don't know about y'all, but I have to easy button it. So right now we have built out a little mini workout area that's got a treadmill and a bike and some weights, which means that I can pay $12.99 to use the Peloton app on my
Yes.
very cheap treadmill and very cheap bike.
Same. Same.
I love that. And
I
just
do. Yeah.
and I become best friends with the instructors, even though they'll never know me. And then I get
Yeah.
excited to work out.
Yes. And those to be clear, we're not sponsored by Peloton here, or
No.
endorsed by them. But it's nice because you can filter it by the time. So if your plan
Mhm.
H is I need just 10 minutes of movement,
Yeah.
but I'm not super energetic, there's yoga on there or some sort of
Yeah.
something to just
Bar.
kind of get you moving. Yes,
You
which
are
is again
100%.
better than nothing.
I
Yeah.
literally did that today. I was like, I want to work out for 30 minutes. Go to my thing, select 30 minutes, select my instructor. I will choose this one.
Yes. Yes. Usually the one that like sounds like that sounds not too hard. And then you get into it and you're like, dang it, I picked the wrong one.
And then at the end it goes, was this hard? And I'm like, is it ever not hard? Like
I
10,
know.
always 10.
Always 10. So just so we know, Susie's the one skewing the Peloton app when it tells you like how hard something is.
Well, it is. It's
Like
always
10.
hard. I'm never like, man, that was an easy workout. I'm always like
Yeah.
dripping with sweat, just like disgusting. You got me again.
Yes. Alrighty. So what about traveling? So what is kind of like a go-to snack, especially traveling with kids? And traveling can be kind of a bear in its own right. And that's like a whole separate
Yeah, who
talk.
travels? No, I'm just kidding.
I
I'm
know
actually,
travels. What's
it's
going
funny.
on?
I'm actually traveling on Tuesday to DC, and I was like, this is a perfect prep question because I need to be thinking about what I'm going to travel. So with kids, it's like, okay, we grab our little lunchbox thingy, and I'll put in there. I like to home make like banana oatmeal cookies. There's like a bajillion
Mhm.
recipes. They're 2 ingredients, but I like to add in a bunch more. So I'll make a bunch of those because man, those will last. They're good for breakfast. They're good for snacks. They're good for dinner, and they have that oat, so they're more filling for the kiddos.
Mhm.
And then we'll put in some cheese sticks. Sometimes we'll grab like turkey sticks, and then
Mhm.
baby oranges. And those are like what are always going to go on our little to go thing. And that way, at any point, we can have some protein and some fat and some carbs.
Yes.
Simple blueprint. Nothing
Yeah.
exciting. I try to, as far as like packaged stuff goes for the kiddos, I always just look at the back and I think, how sugary do I want my kids to be filled up with? And if it looks like the answer on that particular box is like a heck no techno, I look for a different option.
Yes. Yeah.
So
And
sometimes
you
we
really
do
do
grab
have
bars.
to read the labels because I've like a couple of times like grabbed something thinking like, oh yeah, this is, plant-based or, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's insane with the amount of sugar in it, right?
Oh my
So,
gosh, I got tricked, Kelly. We got like
uh-oh.
a huge thing of fruit snacks for a birthday party. We were like, let's put healthier stuff in our piñata. Well, then we had a ton extra, and I was like, I love fruit snacks. Well, like I flipped that thing over after eating them for like a week and was like, it was like 9 or 10 grams of added sugar in like
They're
10
like
little
gummy
tiny
bears.
And I'm like, why did it take me this long to look at this? Because I kept being like, man, I feel like the sugar makes you want more sugar. And I'm like, it's
Yeah.
so weird. I'm not even eating that much sugar. Like, where is this sugar
Yeah.
hankering coming from? I'm like, oh.
Yeah. And
Like,
you have to be careful with like the alternative, like if you're dairy free or whatever, if you go to get like a dairy free milk or pudding or something, it's usually loaded with sugar. So you really have to read the labels. Or if they take carbs out, they add something else that it's not so great for your body.
I know. Like, it's literally
something.
like a game to me, Kelly. I'm like, what is on the back of this? Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh, you almost got me.
Yeah. And then knowing like the different names for sugars, there's like names being added all the time for sugar. So, things will say that they're sugar free, but they're not sweetener free. And that's where we can kind of get into trouble there. And those sugar alcohols are no good for us either. So that doesn't do us any favors.
Funny,
Say it again.
I was just looking at the box of something, and it was like I was trying to see which kids quick protein bar had the lowest amount of sugar, and it was like, oh, but this one's high in sugar alcohol. So my brain was like, why?
Yeah.
Like, can't you just make one that's high in protein and low in sugar? Like, come on.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I think it's the Epic bars. Have you had those?
Yes.
The Epic protein bars that your kids won't eat, but those would be high in protein and sugar. Your kids would be like, what is this?
Yeah, Mom no thanks, Mom. This looks like it's got your name on it.
I'll take the dirt. Yeah. I'll take the dirt, Mom.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So when you are traveling or when life happens as it does, like how do you get back on track? Or are you the person that's just 100% all the time?
No, I'm definitely not 100% all the time. But it's kind of funny because I think that this is probably one of the biggest changes that has been made in me, I would call it my intuitive eating with intentional nourishment journey. I eat intuitively, but
I love that.
But I'm intentionally nourishing, right? And that's not like it's not an intuitive eating thing, but I think in the way that people just talk about it more generally, that I have to add that in there. So there are I always say there's a birthday party on a Friday, and then there are a couple of different desserts, and you think, I want that. Like, I'm going to choose that. I'm good. I still have some left for me. And then the next day you're at another birthday party and you're like, ooh, well, but they have that thing that I love. And now you're on day 2 of sugar. Generally, I do not choose a day 3 of sugar because I know that for me and for a lot of my clients, 3 days in a row makes a habit. So I say after one day, you're chill, go back to your regular life. You'll be fine. After 2 days, you're probably not going to start feeling good, and prepare for that third day to be tough, to get back on track, right? To start eating like you normally do. And if that third day comes and you're like, oh my gosh, but I happen to be at the most glorious thing where, it's like at that point, your body is probably already cueing to you that you've overdone it a couple days. Your hunger cues are probably diminished. Listen to it, right? Just listen to that beautiful, magnificent body and mind that God gave you and go, you know what? I see you, cheesecake, but I could have you another time when I'm actually hungry for you. And right now, I'm going to listen to my body, and it's been overdone for a couple days. So we're going to give it a little rest. So I hope that doesn't sound like easy, because it's not.
No, it's that fear of missing out, right? Like it's as if we're never going to see a cheesecake ever again. Oh my gosh. So we have to eat it like right now. Most of us, we can go get a cheesecake whenever we want, but we want this one because it's in front of us right now. Yes. And I run into this with clients too, that they're like, well, what if, like if we're working on eliminating some of those things, and then they come up, what if my neighbor comes over with this like piece of chocolate cake? And I was like, well, in 10 years that you've lived where you live, has your neighbor ever brought you chocolate cake?
Yeah.
No. But we start to like freak out, right? Like we are like, I can't have this. I can't have this.
Oh my
And
gosh,
so
yeah.
that is very empowering to tell yourself, like you're in control then, right?
Yes.
I'm in control that I'm choosing not to eat this right now, as
Yeah.
opposed to like, oh my gosh, I can't do this, and just,
Yeah, it's not that it's bad, right? It's not that the
right.
food is necessarily bad. It's like you said, we have a choice, and with responsibility and choices come consequences. So
Mhm.
I think honestly, one of the things that blows my mind the most for myself, it took me so long, and for clients is, girl, you can eat whatever you want, but if what's important to you is for you to feel good and for your, energy balance to be in a little bit of a deficit, then don't be surprised if the next morning you feel bloated. Like, there are
Mhm.
consequences to the action. And the cool thing
Right.
about that is that they are designed to be feedback loops for us.
Mhm.
Right? It's
Yes.
not
Yeah,
like we overeat
absolutely.
and we wake up and we're like, oh my gosh, I feel so good today.
It's
Like,
like our body knows that
it
that was not the
knows.
best choice for us,
We
right?
wake up and we're
Yes.
like, oh my gosh, I don't feel good. Like, and that's your body going, hey, you overdid it yesterday. And then your body's hunger and fullness cues ideally are going to help kind of balance that out over the next couple of days and go back to real life, and don't sweat it, but learn from
Yeah.
your actions.
And that's honestly like where the intuitive eating comes from, is those cues, like realizing I overindulged, I don't feel good. And
Yeah.
it's not going to work the first time, we'll still overindulge. And even the second or third time, we might still, but by the fourth time, usually we start
Yeah.
to find that intuitive, like, I don't feel really good when I eat
Yep.
whatever, or when I eat this quantity of that. And then we change our behavior. And that's, to me, one of the hardest parts of intuitive eating for people is
Yeah.
knowing, like looking ahead, right? And saying,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to feel good. And who's like the worst about that are people that are lactose intolerant. And I live with two of them. And they're like, ice
Yeah.
cream makes me feel gross, but I'm going to eat it anyway, right?
Where's my lactate? That seems like a really
Yeah,
good idea to pair with
exactly.
that.
And I'm like, well, if you're having to take down 12 lactate, we should probably not be doing the dairy, right? Like,
Your body's trying to tell
yeah,
you something, but okay, I applaud the
I
effort.
know. Yeah, your
Oh,
body's trying to
well,
tell you. Yes.
and
Yeah.
that's what's, I think too, when, okay, so I think intuitive eating is what I coach to eventually. But in order to
Mm-hmm.
get there, I don't think the majority of people can go from whatever they're currently doing to intuitive eating successfully. I think that
Correct.
and the way that I break out my program is there are concepts that we learn along the way that foundational. Let's learn about how our bodies work a little bit. And then here are some things that trip up intuitive eaters who are trying, like
Yeah.
hyperpalatable foods and not
Yes.
understanding the way that our body's hunger and fullness, satiety, hormones play in. Like, let's talk about and learn those things so that you're not trying so hard and failing so hard,
Well, and you're working with your body instead of against your
Yeah.
body, right? And that's one that I really try to drive home with clients, is like, let's do what we need to do to work with your body, and make
Yeah.
the process a little bit easier
Love
than
that.
working against your body. Like the 1,200 calories a day with 3 hours of working out, that's not going to work with your body, right?
Yeah.
That's not helping your body. So let's rein that in a little bit, right?
Yeah, let's
It's
do
more
something
realistic.
different.
Yeah, exactly. And that can be a hard thing for people to learn, especially if you've been like immersed in diet culture,
Oh my gosh,
your whole
yeah.
life, and
Whew,
coming around
yeah.
to that.
I mean, it's
Yes.
one thing. It's funny you say that because I have a number of clients at this point, and I recently took on a sibling. Right, I'm one of 7, and she's like, the biggest thing that I've noticed about having been your client is my perspective shift on food.
Mhm.
That I now think I want, like, how can I nourish myself with the
Yeah.
food that I'm eating? Like, I
Yeah.
can eat a bajillion things, but I would really like to feel good and I want to look good too. And so,
Yeah.
like, how can I make this work best for me? How can I nourish me
Yes.
and not
Yeah.
feel like this? Okay, so this has 100 calories and this has 200 calories. And so I
Right.
will pick you, It's just such a
Right.
different mindset.
Yeah. And I was having a conversation with someone the other day about like, we stress so hard about, oh my gosh, I didn't get all my protein in today. Oh my gosh, I went over on carbs. But like, what if we change that to like vitamin C and omega-3s and like, oh my gosh, I didn't get enough omega-3s today, right? Like, what a perspective change that would be, because that is where most of the magic as far as healing our bodies and feeling good happens, is with those macronutrients or with the micronutrients, not so much the macronutrients. Our body needs both, right? But
definitely.
or when you go get like, if people come in for a bod pod, they are freaking out about like, oh man, I went to Vegas this weekend. Like, I don't think my numbers are going to be good, right? And they're freaking out about like how much they're going to weigh or what their body fat percentage is going to be. But to me, it's just data. It's data that I can use, right, to help you in your protocol or whatever. Well, what if you went to go get your blood drawn for like your vitamin D and you're like, oh my gosh, I hope I didn't overdo it. Like, you know, like it's just such a weird perspective that we have on things. So being able, I think that intuitive eating comes when you're able to get to a place where you're not assigning a numerical value or a value, good or bad, to food. It's just energy. It's just nourishment. So you can either choose to give your body that nourishment, or you choose the chocolate cake, right? Which is good and nourishes us in a different way. Honestly, it nourishes us mentally, maybe, right?
Definitely.
But it's not the best choice every day. But
it's funny. I was just telling a client, I was like, we need to diversify your joy portfolio. Right now, it's like mostly food. So what other things can bring you joy?
Yes.
Let's diversify that portfolio and see if we can get other things in your life to fill that. Because chocolate will do it, but it's ideally not your only joy bringer.
Yes. And sometimes it's hard to identify those other things. But it is important to realize what else, especially if you're struggling with the ability to, lose fat or whatever, instead of thinking I need to restrict, identifying, am I eating out of stress or boredom? What are other things that I can do instead, right? Goes along with that for sure.
That's like the biggest one for like almost every person that I see.
Yes.
It's like it all boils down to, am I eating just because at some point in the day it's a habit, it's a routine, and why? Like, what am I? And I've been there, hand raised, like, I'm like, it is my 8 p.m. chocolate time.
Yes, for the third time during the day,
for the
right?
Third, right. It's just 3 o'clock at multiple points of the day.
Yeah, that's funny. Alrighty. So what advice would you give someone who is just starting like their wellness journey? Maybe they're on the fence and they're like, I don't know if I can, pay money for a nutritionist or for life coaching or, any of that stuff. What would be your advice there?
Yeah. So I don't know about you, but my most successful clients are the ones that have identified, kind of like I said at the beginning, their strong why. Their why is there. So let's say we're specifically talking to moms right now. Your children are one of the greatest things that you will ever get to be responsible for. In order to show up for them, you got to put that mask on yourself first, right? You've got to show up for yourself. You need to ask for help when needed. You need to prioritize your own health, all these different things. So if you can use that as a motivator for change and raise your hand and get that help, you will be successful. Because honestly, that mama drive it's hard. And if you're not a mom, find something else. Maybe you're career driven and you're like, I just want to kick so much butt at work. It's like, who kicks butt at work? People who have energy. And you know what helps with that? Taking care of yourself, your body, your mind, your spirit. So find your why before you step into that, you pay that money. Make sure you're in a position where you understand why it's important to you. And if you don't think it is, and you're a Christian, go look at the Bible. It talks all over the place about our body being a temple, about not making idols of things that shouldn't be. My chocolate bar. And let the Lord speak to you through that. But I honestly think spend some time with a smart person like Kelly, who can teach you, right, the tools to be able to, I call it like, it's like tools in your tool belt, so that if I were to get hit by a bus, or Kelly were to get hit by a bus, you now can proceed in life knowing how to eat well if you wanted to, and then use those feedback loops that we have in our bodies that God gave us. Like,
and sometimes it's just that accountability, right? Like, you just need someone who gets what you're going through. And I think a lot of times people assume that what we do means that we've got it all figured out, right? So Susie eats on point 100%, like gets all her workouts in at 6 a.m., whatever. And that's not true, right? So a lot of times the struggles that our clients face, or our potential clients face, are exactly the same as what either we have personally experienced, or we've worked with other people who've experienced that, or in some way we've had a similar experience. So it's kind of like thinking that the pastor's got it all figured out, you know, at church or whatever.
I still do. I still think the pastors.
I know,
I'm like,
right?
You are like on up here, and I'm like, oh, down here. No.
Yeah.
Oh, it's funny you say that. One of the things that I start out with my clients, I have this video of he's now 2, but I think he was 1. And we were trying to get him to go down the slide. And first, right, he was at the top, and I would hold his hand and he would go down. And we came up, and I would hold his hand and he would come down. And then it was like, okay, so like now you're just going to hold a finger and go down. And now you're going to go down on your own. And he fell, right? Oh, and we got him back up, and he got back up there, and he did it all by himself. And it's like, all right, guys, you're that almost 2-year-old. Like, we sometimes just need someone to walk alongside it with us for a month, 2 months, maybe a year, and then slowly, right, get off on our own and be able to go down that slide all on our own confidently. But sometimes it does just take someone coming alongside and giving you a little push and a little a hand and that knowledge too. So I love what you said about accountability, because it's huge. It really is.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, don't look at it as teacher student, like accountability, like allow us to come alongside you and help you and motivate you in the ways that you need to be motivated, and nourish your body in the way that your body needs to be nourished, not the way my body needs to be nourished, or that your body needs to be nourished, but you know, the bio individuality. That's awesome.
You know, Kelly, I think it's so cool that you've done this for so long, because something I've noticed, and so I'm applauding you, the longer you do the thing, what you're doing, the more people you see, and you see all these people, and then you begin to get like, okay, so I thought it could have just been this one person, but now I've seen the same thing work for 3 different women that all have the same thing. And you almost begin to build out your own like bank of, your own coaching tools. And so having someone come to you, you're like, I've seen X number of people, like they're getting the knowledge and experience of all those people before them by coming to you. And that's amazing. Like that is honestly invaluable.
And it really is helpful. And that would just be a complete like side note for someone that's brand new to, any job really, but coaching, training, those types of things is, at first everybody's like, I don't know what to do with this brand new case. And knowing where to find the resources to help that client are, fantastic. But the longer, like any job, the longer you do anything, you just see more and more people, or once you identify kind of who your ideal client is, then you know exactly how to help that person. Right. And so, that's a benefit too. All righty. Well, those are all the questions that I have for you. Miss Shauna, do you have any questions for Susie? No?
I can't think of one right now.
Okay, you're fine.
A lot of good information tonight, and I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Yeah, that's okay. No, I asked you, I was like, how do you join this meeting when you can't scan the QR code from your own phone?
Does it let you take a picture of? I don't know. I'll have to text you.
So I was like, I don't know how to do this. So I finally got it to work with my husband's phone. So I took a picture with his so I could scan it on my phone.
All right.
Technology.
We'll work on that. Yes. All
My
right.
technology barriers.
Yes, I know. Yeah, they're everywhere, it feels like. So, all righty. Well, thank you, Shauna, and thank you, Susie. And I will catch you guys. Oh, I forgot. Okay. My big announcement that I have for today is that this week we are doing a scholarship, or I am doing a scholarship, or not really a scholarship, I guess. It's a ultimate giveaway of 6 months free nutrition coaching. So to enter that, you just need to, there will be a post up and you just need to reply me to get the application. I'll accept applications all week. And one person will be getting 6 months of free nutrition coaching. And then the $25 gift card, as it turns out, Ms. Shauna, you are the one that won that. So I will message you and get your gift card to you. And too bad Christina's not here to go shopping with you. You'll have to take a trip.
Oh, well, she'll be back.
Okay, you guys
And
can
she'll
go
be
then.
here like in a week or so. So we're good for this
Awesome.
weekend.
Good.
I don't even know.
Yeah. Alrighty, I will shoot you a text and let you know how to get your gift card. All right.
All right. Thank you, dear.
Yes, of course. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you, Susie, and I will talk to you guys later.
All right.
Bye.
All right, bye.